start our next session for Mayor CEO. Reverend Mark Holland and Ann Murguia are the candidates. Reverend Holland and Ms. Murguia, you will be given 2 minutes in your opening statements. And then you will be asked questions after which we will have 1.5 minutes. We will begin with Reverend Holland and your opening statement.
Well, I want to begin by thanking everyone for coming out tonight and for all those who are going to be watching this either online or on the cable channel. I appreciate everyone's effort to be informed in the mayor's race. This is an important time in our community, and I want to just start by thanking everyone for being a part of it and taking part in this forum. My name is Mark Holland. I'm 4th generation Wyandotte County, 3rd generation pastor in the community, and I've been serving on the Unified Government Board of Commissioners for the last 6 years as an at-large commissioner. And I think that at-large commissioner is a critical component of my service to the community, because there are 3 elected officials up at City Hall whose purpose is to have the big picture over the larger community. That's the mayor and the 2 at-large commissioners. So I've served, been elected countywide twice, and have served from corner to corner of the county, listening to constituent concerns and making sure that we're addressing and balancing the needs of all parts of our community. Instead of focusing in one particular area, I think it's important to see the diversity of needs from Piper to the Northeast, from Rosedale to Bonner Springs. There's so much great diversity and richness of diversity in our community that I think we need to make sure that all of that is represented in the vision and perspective of what we bring to the table tonight. My points that I'm working on, number 1 is continuing the economic development in our community, which has been tremendous. We've created over 6,000 new jobs in our community in the last 6 years. We also need to make sure that we're connecting our citizens to those jobs to make sure we get the maximum impact of that economic development. I also want to make sure that we are using the payoff of the STAR bonds at Village West to take a serious bite out of our property taxes. We all know that our property taxes in Wyandotte County are too high and the highest in the region, and we need to take this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take a significant chunk out of that. Finally, I think we need to make sure that we're taking what I could call the low-hanging fruit out at Village West and continuing to invest that successfully in other parts of our community. Thank you.
Ms. Murguia.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ann Murguia, and I'm running for mayor. I have spent my entire adult life working in public service right here in Wyandotte County. As the Unified Government Commissioner for the 3rd District, I've been part of a commission that has voted on projects like Google, Cerner, Sporting Kansas City, and Hollywood Casino. All current commissioners supported these projects, and all deserve credit for a job well done. We clearly worked as a team to continue to develop the state of Kansas' #1 tourist attraction. However, in addition to this work, we have accomplished many other things. I personally have raised $14,000 to do an in-depth survey of my district. I wanted to know what the priorities of my constituents were so that my priorities would echo their priorities. In line with those priorities, I raised millions in private dollars to pay for the acquisition and demolition of tax delinquent property so that we could build quality housing in its place and begin to rebuild the tax base in the urban core. I received millions in grants and in-kind donations for infrastructure improvements. I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop a grocery store in a Wyandotte County food desert. And I was part of an amazing team of volunteers, some of you are here today, that raised $2 million to build a brand new $6 million library. I believe that my fundraising skills, my ability to collaborate with individuals, businesses, and organizations across the region, my tenacity, and my never give up personality is what has enabled my constituency to get things done. And I believe that's the kind of mayor we need moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now turn it over to our moderators, Eleanor Jefferson and Mary Rupert.
Thank you. Commissioner Murguia, you'll take the first question, please. What lessons can be learned from the development out west to focus efforts in our urban community?
So can you repeat the first part?
Surely. What lessons can be learned from the development out west to focus efforts in our urban community?
Well, I think when I was elected in 2007, one of the first things that I did in my district is I did a survey to find out, as I said earlier, what the priorities of my district were. Once I was able to figure out what those priorities were, which were directed by the people that live there, I was able to focus on those and begin to move those priorities forward. It developed a momentum within my district to begin to see redevelopment in an area that hasn't seen redevelopment in decades. I think one of the lessons learned is that redeveloping Western Wyandotte County is very different than redeveloping Eastern Wyandotte County. And when you're developing the eastern portion of Wyandotte County, you truly need the involvement of the citizens that live there. What we're trying to stop from happening in eastern Wyandotte County is from people leaving and abandoning their neighborhoods and having such a high number of tax delinquent properties. In order to get people to stay there and live there and be a productive citizen in that area, they need to know that they're getting something for their tax dollar.
Thank you. Commissioner Holland, same question, please.
Can you repeat it, please?
Surely. What questions can be learned from the development out west to focus efforts in our urban community?
Thank you. The development out west, and it's easy to see why there's urban sprawl around the country where cities are expanding and expanding into greenfields. It's much easier to develop a greenfield than it is an urban area. So that's why most companies seek out greenfield. You have to be more creative when you're investing in the urban area. I've described out west to be the low-hanging fruit. We've had so much success there that we need to take that and continue to plant it in other areas. We've had great success already at 78th and State with a $28 million new price chopper coming in and a complete rebuilding of Wyandotte Plaza that's going on right now. That's a huge investment in our city. We've had good success at 39th and Rainbow across from KU Med, another urban redevelopment, strategic urban redevelopment that's going to bear fruit for the rest of that community around it. You also have seen 18th and I-70. Does everyone remember what was at 18th and I-70? It was a truck stop, and there wasn't much to do with trucks there. It was a disaster for our community, and by tearing that down and starting that new Sunfresh development with all of the Prescott Plaza development around it has really shown the kind of strategic investment that an urban area can have. The next two strategic urban areas that we need to invest in are Indian Springs, which is 100 acres at the intersection of two huge interstates that has to be a development done right, and our downtown. The downtown KCK is everyone's downtown, and we need to strategically invest in our downtown, particularly with a grocery store, so that we can begin to grow the community around it.
This question is for Mark Holland. During the primary forums, both candidates committed to a reduction in the mill levy within the next 4 years, with the possibility of additional costs being passed from the state level down to local municipalities. How do you propose to maintain or improve the levels of service with lower revenue? And please address the next year as well as, the future after that. Thanks.
How many years do you want me to address?
4.
Okay. The greatest threat to Wyandotte County right now are budget cuts at the federal and state level. There's no question in our minds. The recession has begun to abate. We're seeing property values come up. During the recession, the worst recession in 100 years, we saw property values in Wyandotte County decrease dramatically as they did across the country. The threats that are coming now are coming from our state government that are continually cutting basic services and they're basically sliding them over to the community. The state's not cutting budget, they're sliding it to the county. And I could give you countless examples of how the government's agenda right now to get rid of the income tax is intentionally passing costs down at all levels from our school districts to our municipal governments. That threat has cost the city already millions of dollars, and it potentially will cost us millions more. Number one, we need to lobby the state, and we need to take a strong stance against Brownback's policies that are hurting all of Kansas and especially hurting Wyandotte County. We also need to take a strong stance in terms of addressing all of our city services and finding ways of being more efficient and doing more with less. Because if we continue on the same path without anticipating cuts from the state, we're going to be caught short as these cuts come down the pike. There's no indication out of Topeka we're not going to see dramatic cuts. So we've got to be aggressive now in paring back our costs, so when we do receive the windfall from the STAR bonds, we will be able to pay it off.
Same question.
Can you repeat that question, Mary?
Yes. During the primary forums, both candidates committed to a reduction in the mill levy within the next 4 years, with the possibility of additional costs being passed from the state level down to local municipalities. How do you propose to maintain or improve the levels of service with lower revenue? And please add in next year as well as.
Okay. In regard to lower taxes, I didn't just make that promise this year. I made that promise in '07 when I first ran to be the 3rd District Commissioner. I promised the people that I represented that I would not vote for a property tax increase. And to date, 6 years later, I have never voted for a property tax increase, not once. I would tell you that the way that you're able to do that is sort of twofold. The first way is, as I said earlier, you have to determine what the priorities are of the people that live in Wyandotte County. And you have to fund those priorities and fund them well. Unfortunately, government cannot be everything to everybody. There are other ways to get things done, though. We have some great partners here in Wyandotte County who are working with the same common goals that we have, that we could use and be partners with to meet some of our constituents' needs. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it is we have got to start growing economic development east of 635, the Midtown, and in particular the Northeast area. For those of you that may or may not know, I don't think you in the crowd can necessarily see this map, but I think the camera can see it. And this area in western Wyandotte County is growing by leaps and bounds. This area in the northeast of our community is growing poverty at a faster rate than we are growing economic development out west. We have got to change that. I had the experience and the results where I have done that in my district, and I would like to be able to take that skill set and do that countywide.
Commissioner Murguia, this question's for you, please. The new commission will have at least 3 new commissioners incoming. What specific strategies would you have as Mayor CEO to lead the commission as an effective team to facilitate a positive economic environment continuing in Wyandotte County?
I'm sorry, Elnora, could you repeat that again?
Sure. The new commission will have at least 3 new commissioners incoming. What specific strategies would you have as the Mayor CEO to lead the commission as an effective team to facilitate a positive economic environment?
Okay. I think, first of all, the commission, we all need to be communicating, and we all need to be relatively on the same page. It doesn't mean that we always all need to agree on everything, but we need to understand and appreciate which each of us are trying to do for our district. So that's why I keep emphasizing the importance of this survey. It wouldn't just be a countywide survey. It would be a countywide survey that was broken down by district, so that each commissioner on the commission could understand what the priorities are of the different areas within our community. As you all know here tonight, the priorities out in western Wyandotte County are probably very different than the priorities in downtown Kansas City, Kansas, or even in the Midtown area, or let's talk about Bonner Springs or Edwardsville. We have a very diverse community, and in order to meet all those needs on a limited budget, we have got to do a survey and let the residents of our community identify what is important in their particular area so that we can budget accordingly.
Thank you,
I'm
Commissioner
going to ask
Holland.
you to repeat it again.
Surely.
Sorry.
The new commission will have at least 3 new commissioners this year incoming. What specific strategies would you have as the Mayor CEO to lead the commission as an effective team to facilitate a positive economic environment?
Well, that's a great question because we don't have to start over. We've been doing a lot of effective work already as a team. Joe Reardon did an outstanding job of doing retreats with the commissioners to set clear priorities for our community moving forward so we could align our budgeting process with the priorities of the commissioners, representing every district and representing all the constituencies across. I don't think we have time to waste starting. As soon as the new mayor is sworn in, the next week we have our first public budget hearing. When we begin the budgeting process. We don't have time to wait for a survey to find out what people need. We've already done the work and we know what people need. We know what the constituents have already said to their commissioners, and we've already begun that process. We have a strategic plan in place right now. The first thing I would do is I would immediately bring together all of the commission, the new commissioners, and the returning commissioners, and begin in that retreat setting again so that we can look at the strategic plan that was handed down to us. The truth is we don't need to create momentum in Kansas City, Kansas. We couldn't have more momentum than we have right now. We have more momentum than we've ever had. And changing direction at this point gives us the opportunity to lose a step instead of taking it to the next level. So I would take the strategic plan we already have, I'd present it to the new commissioners, and I would give an opportunity for input so we can tweak it a little bit. But there's no way we're taking the roadmap that has been the success for the city for the last 16 years and toss it out and begin in a new direction. And I think that's one of the clear decisions we have. Do we need to go in a new direction right now, or do we need to continue with the momentum we already have and take it to the next level?
This question is for Mark Holland. With the development of Sporting KC, Cerner, Google Fiber, KC Startup Village, and other businesses, KCK is poised to benefit from growth in the technology sector. What more will you do as mayor to maintain this positive momentum and keep KCK in the same spotlight our neighbors to the east are capitalizing on?
Well, that's another very important question. The window of opportunity for Google Fiber is right now. They just announced in the paper that the bunny is hopping to Olathe. Is that what the ad said, or the newspaper said? The Google Fiber, Google is not going to stand still and wait for us to figure out what to do with it. Google is on a trajectory nationwide to spread high-speed internet because it's the future. And we're fortunate because we're the first in the nation, and the future is now. Because of the visionary leadership already of the commission and the clear direction we're already on. We need to make sure that we spend in the next 12 months continuing to open up opportunities in our industrial area of Fairfax. We spent a lot of time looking for industrial partners, which we need to continue to find. But this opens up a whole new marketplace for us of a new kind of business that has never been in the Midwest. It's always been on the East and West Coast. We need to strike while the iron's hot, and we already have a team in place for this Google Fiber, but we definitely need to accelerate it. I'm anticipating we have 12 to 18 months to get this in place before the rest of the metropolitan area gets this, and we need to make sure we take full advantage of the opportunity we have to be first in the nation. We don't need to be the first in the nation to have it. We need to be the first in the nation to take advantage of it for our business community and for our citizens.
Same question.
Repeat that, Mary, please.
With the development of Sporting KC, Cerner, Google Fiber, KC Startup Village, and other businesses, KCK is poised to benefit from growth in the technology sector. What more will you do as mayor to maintain this positive momentum and keep KCK in the same spotlight our neighbors to the east are capitalizing upon?
Well, I think it's important to have a mayor that is willing to go out and aggressively market Wyandotte County and all the assets that we have in Wyandotte County, not just a particular area. You know, my opponent makes mention of momentum in the county, and I think if you visited all areas of the county, you would see that there is momentum in some areas, and in other areas, they don't feel like there's much momentum at all. I think it depends on what area of the county that you're living in and what you're experiencing right now in your own backyard. So in order to keep the momentum going, I agree those areas, for example, Rosedale has the Startup Village. I think there's amazing momentum around technology there. As Mary mentioned, I think Cerner and all the development at Sporting KC Stadium and the technology out there, there's momentum there. But there is great opportunity in other areas of our community. We've talked about land bank property and the ability to acquire land, large parcels of land for a fairly inexpensive price. If we had a mayor that was out there that was aggressively marketing what we have in Wyandotte County and aggressively marketing these land bank properties, we might be able to encourage some of those technology businesses to actually locate within our city and grow a whole technology center like they have in places like Boulder, Colorado.
A follow-up question.
This will be the last question.
Okay, for Ann Murguia. How would you as mayor ensure we produce a workforce prepared to succeed in this evolving technology economy?
I absolutely think we need to develop a stronger relationship with all of our school districts, not just USD 500, but Turner, Piper, as well as the schools in Bonner Springs and Edwardsville. It's going to be critical that we come together on a regular basis to prepare our students for the opportunities that are in front of them right now, specifically in regard to the opportunities with technology and the new Google infrastructure we have in our county. We have a distinct advantage in Wyandotte County over any other area in the nation. That is an incredible advantage that we need to seize the day on that moment.
Same question.
This is one of the critical points. It's the first point of my bullet points on my card, connecting our citizens to these world-class jobs that we have. General Motors has great high-paying jobs. Only 17% of the employees who work at General Motors live in Wyandotte County. We really need that percentage to go up. We need to make sure that our citizens have the training and the mentoring to make sure they're ready to take those jobs right away. Cerner has a model for mentoring into the high school level and partnering with our community college to make sure that our citizens are on track. The Cerner just hired 4,000, or is announced 4,000 new jobs. They've already hired the first 1,200. And the Kansas City Star reported that only 100 of those persons were over the age of 25. And the average salary of those starting jobs is $55,000 a year. We need to make sure that in our high school level, our community college, that we have our students mentored and trained so that they can be ready for those jobs. If we bring 6,000 new jobs to our community and our citizens don't have those jobs, we're not realizing the full potential of the economic development that our community so deeply needs. And this technology piece is critical, making sure that our high schools and community colleges are utilizing this technology so that our students come out job ready for the new work environment that's coming to our world.
Thank you. It is now time for our closing statements. Ms. Murguia, you have 1 minute. Then Reverend Holland, you have 1 minute to close. Ms. Murguia?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that put this on tonight. It's been an amazing experience, and it's a great opportunity to meet more people in Wyandotte County. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize my endorsements. I think the broad-based support from businesses, unions, governments, officials, and community activists represents my ability to work with all kinds of people. Though my endorsement list is too long to read off to you tonight, I do want to recognize some of the individuals and businesses and unions on the list. I've been endorsed by our local firefighters, our police union, our Bonner Springs Police, Labor's 1290, 1290 PE, IBEW 53 and 124, Tri-County Labor Council, the Hispanic Chamber, State Representative Tom Burrows, Stan Fraunfelter, Commissioners Nathan Barnes, Angela Markley, Mike Kane, Butch Ellison, Terrence Maddox, and Sheriff Don Ash. I can't thank them enough for their support, and if you're interested in seeing a full list of those endorsements, you can find those on annmurguia.com. Thank you.
Reverend Holland.
I also want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I very much appreciate your being here. I think there's a clear difference in this race that we need to take very seriously. We have an opportunity to continue with the momentum that we have and to continue to take our city to the next level. It's not time to come up with a new plan. It's time to stay the course with what we have. And while we have great challenges remaining in our community, the opportunity to address those challenges has never been better. That's the reason why many of the community leaders have stepped forward and endorsed me and are supporting me to stay on that course. It's also the reason I think that in the primary, the greatest endorsement is not from a list of people. The greatest endorsement is from you, the voter. And I was very humbled in the primary to receive 48% to 22% of the support from the people in our community who say, you know what, with all the challenges that we have, we're really on the right track. And if we continue on this right track, we have an opportunity to really take things to the next level. And I'm very proud to be in a position as your mayor to take this city to the next level, and to really continue with the progress that we've already had. I'd appreciate your vote on April 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Holland and Ms. Murguia. Let's give them a hand clap.